Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Super Mario 3 Special for the Game Boy Color. Interesting bootleg title that came up around 2000. Rumor has it they actually made two versions of this particular bootleg game, one of which came in one of the Rumble style of Game Boy Color cartridges, and there's supposedly also a regular version in a standard Game Boy Color cartridge as well. Basically, all it is a handful of Mario levels inspired by Mario 3, just slightly redesigned with absolutely awful physics and terrible sound, which is something you kind of get used to with bootleg titles. But anyway, here we go with Super Mario 3 Special for the Game Boy Color. It starts off with a title screen that's very reminiscent of Mario 3, that's a little off-center, the special being added to it. It's kind of all over the place. There's a total of 5 levels in the game. That's it, just 5 levels. You can select any of them in whatever order you like to do them in. However, levels 4 cannot be beat, and level 5 ends the game with the end screen. So, while you can do them in any order, you technically could just go ahead and beat level 5 and instantly finish the game. The game itself, as far as bootlegs are concerned, is pretty bad, especially when it comes to just overall movement of Mario. Mario stopping on a dime, jumping weirdly, hit detection is absolutely all over the place when it comes to landing on enemies or going through them. And in fact, some enemies, like the couple of boomerang-like brothers that are in the game, can't be defeated at all. At least there's no way I've been able to figure out how to beat them. Even with the star power, and there is actually star power in here, you don't end up killing them. You can stand in them, you won't get hurt by them, but you can't actually end up doing damage. At the bottom of the screen you can see that we're in World 1. We have 3 lives and $6, but it's actually 6 coins. At the end of a stage, you actually hit a block, and then a mushroom pops out, and grabbing the mushroom finishes the level. World 4, or Level 4, instead of the mushroom popping out, a raccoon leaf pops out, one of the leaf power-ups, and grabbing it does not finish the level. So that's why World, or Level 4, whatever you want to call it, doesn't end, and you can't get past it. The leaf power-up, though, as you can see, is in the game, though, and you can even do the floating ability with it. However, you can't do the sweeps, you can't hit enemies with the tail. Also, if you're wondering, the physics of the hill aren't there, so you're not able to, like, duck on the hill and slide on down. One of my favorite things, though, about this particular bootleg is the flashing, randomly appearing Paragoomba. I don't know why it does that, where it kind of is, like, teleporting all around. I've been able to even land on it a couple of times, where I'm just jumping randomly about where it is, and somehow ended up doing damage and actually hitting it. It doesn't always happen, but it's just one of those weird oddities that's happened to me while playing this bootleg the few times I've gone ahead and attempted to do so. The levels, as you can see, though, are based on the first world of Mario 3, and even the 4th level we'll be doing is based on the first of the scrolling levels in Mario 3, but the level doesn't scroll. They didn't have the ability to do that. Here we go here in level 3. This is the one that normally would contain the first warp whistle of Mario 3, but that's not going to be the case here. No warp whistle to be had, not that we need it in this one. Also, I just wanted to show when I hit that turtle shell collision detection with enemies and other stuff, like, well, once again, not really the best. That is for sure. Also, I hope the music isn't driving you insane and the sound effects aren't driving you quite insane yet, because yeah, it doesn't really get any better throughout the course of playing it. I mean, overall, though, I will say, as far as taking the sprite work and taking the design of Mario 3 and trying to put it onto a Game Boy Color cartridges is actually not the worst. In fact, it proves, obviously, that they could have easily done so. Nintendo themselves could have easily gone ahead and do this, but of course we didn't see a Game Boy Color release of Mario 3. There's just the Mario Bros. Deluxe, which is Mario 1 and 2, Japanese version of 2 Lost Levels, together in a very nice compilation for Game Boy Color, and I highly actually recommend it if you've never checked out that particular version of Mario. We would, of course, see a Mario 3 on Game Boy Advance, though, in the Super Mario Advance series. Heck, they even had extra levels added to it via e-reader for that, so that was one of the cool aspects of that particular version. Interesting enough, though, they actually took the same bootleg, and the people that made it would go ahead and edit it, putting in Pikachu, calling it Pokemon Diamond, and ended up releasing it. However, instead of having a map screen, they got rid of it, and you start in level 4, which is the unbeatable level, so you're still unable to finish it in that particular bootleg, so just more greatness. Here, I picked up the star power-up, and as you can see, I can just stand right inside the Boomerang Brother, and he's unable to hurt me. Eventually, when it runs out, he would hurt me, of course, but it's just one of those weird things. So here's level 4, this is the Unbeatable Sage. And it's basically the scrolling level, the first scrolling level where you can actually get the White Mushroom House and you collect all the coins in it in Super Mario Bros. 3 normally. But in this particular case, we're not going to have that happen. I love the fact you also have the music note blocks, but they didn't even bother to make them so you can bounce or anything like that, so they're just standard blocks. If you are able to collect 100 coins, you do get an extra life, so that's one thing I want to show. Just because it's one of the few things you can really show off in the game. So there you go, I got an extra life from collecting $100 in this wonderful Super Mario Special 3 or Super Mario 3 Special, whatever way you want to end up saying it. It's special, alright, that is for sure. There's actually some pretty tricky platforming, especially considering how bad the overall control here is. I end up getting hit by the Koopa Troopa. But yeah, like, the platform being as awful as it is, it's pretty easy at times to mistime something and end up running into an enemy, or even falling past some of the platforms. Having a little bit of a zoomed-in screen doesn't help as well during this particular stage. As we finish it up, though, as you'll see, there it is, the raccoon leaf appears, and I can just kind of float around forever, and yeah, nothing happens. So what I'm going to end up doing is, I'm going to go ahead and reset the game, and we'll do the last level so you can see the ending of the game. Thankfully, we can go right to the last level, which is actually represented by what would be the Spade game, the matchup game, where you had to match, either the mushroom, fire flower, or star for some extra lives. But instead of that, you actually get the castle, or a representation of the first castle of the game. There's no Boom Boom or other enemy or anything like that to fight at the end. It's just a standard level, just like the rest of them. Though there is a weird enemy. These guys here, which I guess are representing the weird, floating, flashing waffle enemy. I like to call them waffle enemies, from the standard Mario 3. But in this version, they added just a weird creature, or at least what looks to be very different from the Mario 3 version of them. That's like the only extra, I think, sprite, really, they added to this particular bootleg, instead of just like standard Mario enemies and the like. There is also a really tough jump in this stage, like an exceptionally tough jump that has no reason in this to exist as far as being as tough as it is, and yet to be on like the very, very edge of the platform. Mostly right here, like when you can jump, you have that little bit of like gap in the ceiling, so you're able to jump without hitting your head. But for some reason, they didn't put one here. So making this jump is very tough. You gotta be on like the very, very edge, and then hope you make it. Here's another star that you're able to grab, and you can just kind of run through a couple of the fire flames jumping up in the air. Nothing too special, though, as far as the overall rest of this level. Just single platforms, lots of lava that'll instantly kill us as we make it to the very, very end. And when you do, once again, hit the block, grab the mushroom, or extra life is what actually represents the extra life, and then you get this wonderful the end screen. An absolutely gorgeous, perfect, wonderful, amazing the end screen. Just, I absolutely, this is a truly special bootleg. But anyway, guys, with that, that's going to wrap up this episode of Play It Through. Be sure to let me know if there's any other Mario bootlegs you would like to see me cover in the future. I would love to know of more. But with that, I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.